the United Nations investigative team and on accountability of I think it's Daesh crimes, if I understand well. So can you tell us what concretely the United Nations can do now in Iraq to assess this problem? How do you see this this situation, Ahmed Khan?
Well, firstly, thank you for the invitation, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's what the United Nations is doing. There's, of course, defects, there's, of course, challenges. But none of us should lose sight of a remarkable fact that even in this very fragmented state of international relations that we witness at this moment in time, the Council unanimously, in passing Resolution 2379, unanimously decided that an investigative team to investigate acts of Daesh that may constitute the crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes was necessary, and that it was necessary not as an abstract legal principle, but because it was viewed collectively by the Council as an important vehicle of exposing the ideology that is driving, that is the fuel for the criminal network that we see around the world. So in terms of the question on today's panel, advancing repatriation, there's two aspects to it. Repatriation, if it is just moving a problem, doesn't constitute a solution. It doesn't improve matters one jot. To move a problem from country A to give that problem to country B. The real challenge is the quest for accountability, and a sieve is needed to distinguish amongst those that bear greatest responsibility, those that have been the ideologues, those that have recruited, because of course Iraq and Syria, I'm looking at Iraq, that was the battleground. It wasn't only the recruitment ground, as other speakers, panelists have mentioned. A very effective campaign of recruitment managed to create a magnet that drew people from the various parts of the world. And so one needs to separate those individuals, children for example. I heard the comment, but I take a slightly different view. Those children that are victims, that have been maybe Yazidis or Sunnis or from any community that have been forcibly recruited, they've been brainwashed, and they've been weaponized. And they may well be perpetrators, but they're also victims. Women that may be battered wives, that are dragged along by their abusive husbands who are members of this un-Islamic state, but they may also be very poisonous radicals that if let loose would have no hesitation, no trepidation at all in exploding a suicide bomb in a kindergarten. So how do you do that? How do you move these normative principles, these real problems, to a solution? I think the Council has realized it. It requires proper investigations based upon not sectarianism, not based upon ideas of collective guilt, collective responsibility, but based upon individual responsibility, based upon evidence. And UNITAD's quest is to collect evidence independently, to feed them into any court where fair trials are possible, so that not only the rights of the victims to confront their accusers and have justice is realized, but so that a record is created that prevents revisionism, in the same way Nuremberg prevented revisionism of the atrocities of the Nazis, but also in the crucible of a courtroom, you dissect a completely fake ideology, which I said is the most un-Islamic ideology possible. And that could also have a benefit to prevent the spread of this ideology to other vulnerable communities in the world that are susceptible to that ideology. So I think the United Nations is doing quite a bit in terms of UNITAD. Of course, there's missing pieces perhaps, and more work could be done, but I don't think it's all pessimistic, and there's not cause for complete pessimism as long as we remain united. And what my view is, that unity is essential, because if we can't, as an international community, stay united on a matter like Daesh, there's no issue that confronts the world that we will manage to remain united on.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to Dr. Khalid Kozer, Executive